I absolutely love casseroles. I don't know if I ever told y'all that before, but I do. And I love all kinds of casseroles. I can remember back when I was feeding a bunch of kids, casseroles fed a lot of people. You could throw all kinds of stuff together that you had in the pantry or in the refrigerator and in the pantry, the freezer, even leftovers. You could throw it all together and make this one big, huge dish of casserole. And it's always so good. You throw some cheese in there, I mean, they're going to eat it. A lot of times I'll make casserole and I'll just go and just start grabbing stuff out, like I said, the freezer and the pantry and the refrigerator, and I'll just throw it together. And that's what I'm going to do tonight, too. I'm just going to start grabbing, and casseroles are very frugal. They're a very frugal, inexpensive meal because you can take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and make a big meal out of it, a hearty meal. So I'm going to go to my freezer. I'm going to go to the refrigerator. I'm going to grab me a couple potatoes, and I've got about a pound of ground beef thawed out. So let's make us a good old hash brown hamburger, whatever you can put in their casserole, because that's what this is going to be, and it's going to be really good. So it's frugal, feeds a lot of people. It's a great, if you're going to a potluck or a get together, people love casseroles. You cannot ever go wrong with a good casserole going to a potluck. So let's get started. I've got a pound of ground beef I'm going to brown up. You can use ground pork. You can use ground chicken, whichever you prefer. I'm just going to put a little bit of salt and pepper. You can put any kind of seasoning on your meat that you want to, that you choose. So I'm just doing salt and pepper this morning. I'm going to add some cut up bell peppers. I like to add my bell peppers and onions as I'm frying my ground beef. I think it gives the beef more flavor when you fry it all together, but you can do it separately if you want to. So that was probably about a small onion, and I had a couple of small bell peppers in the refrigerator, and that's what I'm using for this casserole. Our hamburger is just about browned pretty good. So it's still a little bit pink, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some mushrooms. Now, I wish I had some fresh mushrooms, but I didn't, so I'm using canned mushrooms that I had in the pantry. So we're going to finish browning off our ground beef with the mushrooms and the bell peppers and the onions. I'm going to throw in some frozen peas and a tablespoon of minced garlic. This is going to give this casserole a lot of flavor. Now, you can add any kind of spices, y'all, that you want to your casserole. Make it your own. So I'm going to finish browning up this ground beef and kind of sauteing the mushrooms and the garlic a little bit. Probably about, I don't know, probably about 4 minutes or so. So everything is browned up and looking good. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our casserole together. Now you can use frozen hash browns. I had potatoes, so I just went ahead and grated mine up. This is about 3.5 cups of grated potatoes. But if you have frozen, that's great. It just takes about 3.5 cups. And you'll have to remember, I'm just kind of throwing this together. So I've got to remember what I'm putting in here so I can write it down for you. I'm going to salt and pepper my potatoes a little bit. I'm going to get our ground beef mixture. I let it cool just a little bit. It's still warm. I just didn't want to throw it in here just scalding hot. So I cooled it just a little bit. And we're just going to throw all this together in this one big pan. Make sure you got a big enough pan when you start this. Don't do like Miss Lori and always have a bowl that's too little for everything. Now in this dish, I've got a can of cream of celery and a can of cream of mushroom. If you make your own, which I do, but I didn't make it. I just had it in a can. And that's what I'm using right now. This is a fast supper. And so that's 1 can of cream of celery, 1 cream of mushroom. You can do a cream of chicken if you want, 2 mushrooms, whichever you prefer. At this point, you can put you in some green chilies, a can of Rotel, make it your own. And this is a half a cup of milk that I'm pouring in here just to give it a little bit of moisture. If you want to, you can half this recipe and do it in a 9x9 or 8x8 dish if you don't want this big of a casserole. But I've got my 9x13 casserole dish. I've got it sprayed and I've got my oven set on 350. I'm just going to toss this around and mix it up really good with the vegetables and the ground beef and the potatoes, and then I'm fixing to put some cheese in here. This makes a really hearty meal. You can put you a salad on the side. I'm going to put just a little bit more pepper, but I'm not going to put any more salt because we know that our cream of mushroom and cream of celery, and we're fixing to put some cheese in here. I've got about 1.5 cups. This is mild cheddar cheese. I'm going to leave about 1/2 cup in here for the top and put about 1 cup of shredded in with the casserole. Now once I get this mixed up and get it in my dish, I'm going to cover it with some foil. And I'm going to cook it 350 with covered for about 30 minutes. And then I'm going to take the foil off and I'm going to bake it uncovered for about 15 more minutes. That way the top gets good and golden brown. This right here will feed at least 5 or 6 people. And like I said, if you don't want leftovers or you're just cooking for 2 or just 3 or whatever, just half this recipe is all you have to do. You'll have maybe a little bit left, for leftovers the next day if you're just cooking for 2 or if you're cooking for 1. And you can even make this and freeze it. You can freeze it at this point right here and then take it out frozen or thawed out in your refrigerator and cook it 350 for the same amount of time. And I'll have the recipe down in the description box below. So I'm going to put the rest of the 1/2 cup of shredded cheese on top, cover it up, and put it in the oven for a total of about 40 to 45 minutes. So mine cooked for 45 minutes and it is just smelling so good. I served it with coleslaw and it was delicious, y'all. Hope y'all try this recipe. God bless everybody.